Alright, so in this video I'm going to be working on a off-grid solar bank to run a mini window air conditioning for testing. Eventually I plan to build an enclosed trailer into a toy hauler to take dirt bikes out and all my camp gear all in one kind of container. So until I get, as part of that, I plan on having a decent off-grid solar bank. And one of the things I'm going to use for testing, since summer's coming up, is I got a window AC unit that I got off of Facebook Marketplace. It's brand new. It's an inverter based unit, one of the clear view ones, so it's U-shaped, hangs down on your window that way, so not versus blocking it. So for testing, I'm going to put that in my house and let that run. I picked up 4 used solar panels for 40 bucks a piece. They're basically 395 watts each. So that will be in conjunction with this pack. I have lithium iron phosphate cells. I'm going to be building a pack as part of this project. It's going to be a 8S 2P 24 volt pack. And the reason I went with 24 volts is I bought a hybrid on-grid, off-grid 4,000 watt inverter that'll do 4,000 watts AC, 5,600 watts of solar, and then the AC overrate will do 2x for 10 seconds, so 8,000 watts for 10 seconds, but I shouldn't be running anything that heavy. Trying to think what else I need to cover in this introduction that I'm forgetting. Okay, so I have these cells. These are lithium iron phosphates. They are 150 amp hours, and this will be the pack that will be the 24 volt. In terms of planning and laying out, I'm going to be building bus bars that are basically 6 that are the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll have to make a special plate here to cover all these together, and then I'll have my most positive and my most negative parts of the battery. These will run out to a JK BMS meant for battery tied systems, or battery inverter tied systems, and I'll probably have that mounted over here on this side. And then these will go off to like kill switches and that kind of stuff. As part of build, I will also have to go and put balance wires to it. And then I plan on, this was one I planned for my RV before I sold it, is, so I can get this to move. So I went and grabbed a yoga mat. Cut a yoga mat down to go in between the cells to act as insulators, because the bodies of these batteries will be tied, I think, to the negative. So you don't want you'd be creating, if these were to ever rub through this thick plastic, they'll make a short here, and you'll have a difference of potential. It'll basically be shorting cells, and then you'll have a thermal event which you can't put out. You have to let them burn out. So I have more yoga mat. I'm going to cut them and go in between every 2 groups of cells, because this is going to be a 8S 2P, so parallel. That also gives me some compression, because as part of the pack I'm going to have a plate with some threaded rod running between here, or on both sides, and then I'm going to compress and put a little bit of, squeeze the pack a little. That's, according to the data sheet, a little bit of squeeze is good for the health of the cells, because as you cycle them, they'll bloat and contract. And if you can minimize the bloating, that increases the amount of life cycles of these cells. I guess it forces the gas to stay in the jelly rolls inside of them. So I'll do the same thing that I cut up here. I went to Marshall's and picked up a yoga mat. I think the yoga mat was like, $3 or $4 or something like that, because it's Marshall's. So I'll do that, and then I'll cut a bunch of these. Originally for this one, I had planned to also have padding all around. That way I can press it, because this was going to be in an RV that bounces around. goes off of the dirt and road and vibration, and I just want to really secure the pack since there's a lot of potential energy in these, so you don't want a thermal event. So yep, this will be the pack. What I'm going to do is build a cart. I think for now, for testing, what I'm going to do is a wood cart that'll be 2 feet by 2 feet, 2x4s on the edge with caster wheels. I'll try to make it look nice because I'm going to I store these in the house. What must I do? A 2 foot by 2 foot cart. Then the inverter, and I'll have a wall right here. There'll be an inverter. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. There'll be a cover over these to prevent these from getting shorted. There'll be a wall with the inverter and the AC sub panel on it, and some emergency disconnects and solar disconnects that will all be done right here. Show my little microphone. So, all right, well, let's get on to the next step. Here's the start of it. It'll be 24 by 24 with those stepped on the inside, so those were 21. Went to Harbor Freight, and I got these caster wheels. There's going to be a piece of plywood on here and some ribbing, but that will go here in the corner. There's 4 of them. So, gotta get all the pieces out and go from there. Alright, so I have to mark and drill these. So I now need to cut the base. I've set up my table saw right there, and I have a piece of wood over there. I'm going to rip it down to a 24 by 24 section to put on the base, as well as I cut 1x2s into just an additional cross bracing for the weight. All in all, I think the batteries will come out to about 109 pounds of battery weight that has to sit on this cart. I'm going to kind of reinforce it, so it's 3/4 inch ply, 2x4s, and 1x2 to help act as bracing along the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut, and then cable. glue it and nail it here in a minute. 1x2 to cross brace it. And then the wheels will go here in the corners, flip it upside down. That way I can roll around, and it should be a pretty stout cart. This piece of wood I had left over, it was in the back of one of my trucks. So I just kind of trim around the bad parts. I think once I glue it and nail it, clean it out, I'll throw a coat of white paint on it. Since I just bought some white paint and it's left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to then tack it with this to stay in place and then go around and drill the holes while the glue's drying and put the screws in for most of the base. So this way this holds it in place while I'm setting everything up. I've also marked it where I have a side up that I want to face up. It's the nicer looking side that you'll see. So tear it up. So I got to flip it over. So this is really the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna put these cross braces on. I was mental mathing it wrong. I was using them at 21 instead of 24, going, wow, why doesn't this line up? Well, if you use the right dimensions, it'll line up. So I'm gonna be putting these across the supports 8 inches on center. So I'm gonna glue them. And same procedure, I'm gonna use that to kind of tack them. Then I'm gonna go through the, put a screw through the ends. And I'll flip it over and I'll go from the bottom into it with the smaller screws, help pinch it in the center. I don't want anything sharp poking up that way into the box. This pan I bought the other day for another project, which is the HVAC project. You should check it out. So just gonna use that, clean it up so it looks nice. Okay, so cart's painted, getting ready to put the wheels on. So these 2-inch deck screws. Problem is, let's see, I don't have washers that are the right size, but I have something like 2,000 or 3,000 of these ring terminals. So what I did is just clipped off the end, effectively just make a washer. Let's see. I know it's a little hacky, but like I said, I have like 2,000 or 3,000 of these that I already bought and paid for, and so instead of going out and getting a washer, I'm just going to use these. Mainly because this is almost the right, it'll fit in these, but just barely, so it's just an added, more or less makeshift washer to help hold these wheels into these corners. And I'm only going to be doing 3 of the 4 sides, since I know this is going to hit 2x4, 2x4, 2x4 once it gets through. And this side will be into wood space, and I don't want to risk having anything sharp that could puncture a battery. And so, and it's just only over the plywood, where this goes, all the weight load bearing goes into the 2x4s and stuff that's right in the edge. So I'll get that set up and get this camera set up, and I'll handle that. So I'll flip the screen. and it's done. Okay, so this is a coated particle board, or same thing I use the countertops over there, that I'm going to use as a vertical to put in this cart to put all the inverters and panels on and act as a wall. I want my total height to be under 26.5 inches, that way it can slip under a bench like that. Not that one, but a similar one. So that means I got to rip this to 24 by 18 and a half, and I decided I'm going to come back and notch a ½ inch at each side of that board and that board, so it has a spot to drop in, and then I'll use some of these 2x4s or these 1x2s to make 45s from the corner up to the top to brace it so it's stable this way and rigid. And then the back half will be batteries, and the front will be all the stuff, to make it where I can use some of that other plywood and this 1x2s to make a piece to go over the top so it can fall on the battery terminals once it's on. So I'll get set up and so what I'm going to do to prevent tear out, or help reduce tear out, is I'm going to take some painter's tape, run it along where I'm going to be running the saw, where the blade's going to cut, about down the middle, and that'll help reduce tear out a little bit. There you go, nice clean crisp edge, and about all chattered up. Here I have the inverter. This is a solar disconnect. This will be one of two. This one's here close to it since they'll be separated, so if I have to do a rapid shutdown, I have something right here. We'll have it drop down this way to feed the lines, and then I'll come out and go over the back and then come up and get them into here. The batteries will drop down over and go under. And this area here will be the AC breaker panel. And then I have a disconnect switch I'm going to put up here for the battery so I can kill it. So it'll come up from the positive side of the battery to this switch. Then from that switch, it'll run down. I'll be on the back, and it'll come up into here. And then here we have the comms that will go between the inverter and the BMS. And then positive, negative. This I had in for testing. It's 110. What I'm probably going to end up doing is still having this and run it to a on-off switch, maybe here or somewhere. That'll be for backup charging, since regular side, this can do AC charging, and you can limit it. So I'll limit it. Right now it's limited to 10 amp because it's 10, 20, 30, 40. And so I'll do it on so I can do it on a 10 amp circuit. And just have this plugged in, and then if I ever need to really get the batteries going during and the solar hasn't done enough, flip the switch, which will then allow this to charge based on the parameters set. Okay. Well, I have this board, put a 2x4 to it. It's just tacked in place. I'm going to rest that there. I notched the cart so it'll sit here, and then I'll run a screw down through the 2x4 to here, and the other side to get it all in place.